how the Niners can go all in this year. And I put a picture of Lamar Jackson on the thumbnail. Say all
Oh,
in.
oh,
Because I mean, it seems like if we're gonna go talking all in, like that's the move. But I'm not saying that's the Niners are gonna do that. I mean, there are other ways the Niners could go all in without, you know, totally sacrificing the future. But I think it'd be fun to at least entertain that thought because the way I see it is the Niners have kind of a 2-year window with this current team, all the vets that they've signed and locked in. I don't know if a lot of them are going to be on the team in 2025. And if you want to definitely win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, I mean, he's pretty good.
yeah, he's definitely pretty good. What do you think it would take to get Lamar Jackson realistically? Like if you were putting a package together, what would you offer the Baltimore Ravens?
I know it'd be tough, right? You have to give like 2 first-round picks and then give him a fully guaranteed contract. It'd be rough. And he runs
You'd
and
have
he
to
gets
give
hurt.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You give up Trey, obviously. Probably give up
Yeah.
Trey and Purdy and be like, I don't know, you choose. What who do you like? Which
Whatever
one?
you want. Yeah.
Trey and Purdy. There you go. And we'll give you Debo and next year's first and next year's second. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you would give up to realistically pull that trade off. That would be a tough one.
It just seems like, look, I know it's crazy, right? I know it's crazy, but the Niners are kind of a quarterback away, and the teams in front of them have Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. If the Niners had Lamar Jackson, they could really say like, hey, we got a quarterback that's every bit as talented as, well, maybe not Mahomes, but Jalen Hurts. Every bit as talented as Jalen Hurts,
Oh, for
and
sure.
on a team that's maybe better. I don't know. I feel like it would sacrifice the future, but it would be quite interesting. Him, Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel. Like, how do you stop that?
You wouldn't
You don't.
wouldn't stop that.
You
You
don't.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't stop that.
Yeah.
I think the thing is like I think the 49ers, I don't know. I feel like the quarterback position is not that important to Kyle. I mean, it is to a certain extent, the fact that you traded everything to go get Trey, but you haven't gone all in with him. You haven't done the necessary steps to get him to that all in stage. So do you want just a guy that can run the offense? I don't know. Kyle's really hard for me to read in these situations. I think I think Aaron Rodgers, by the way, just so we all know, would only be $15.8 million cap hit this year to the 49ers if they traded for him. Now, I think that's just as hard to go get him because they're not going to want Trey or Purdy for that matter. They've got Love, who I assume they want to roll with. And then you'd have to give up Debo. You don't really have any assets this year. I feel like they want multiple draft picks, which the 49ers don't have. So, I mean, as far as going all in, the 49ers are in a tough position if it's going to center around another quarterback that's not on this roster.
Yeah, I know. It's like the Niners don't want to be committed to one quarterback and they want to really spend on the rest of their team, but I don't think that's necessarily a championship model. I think to win a Super Bowl, you really have to have a top 10 quarterback. Maybe even better than that. Maybe even better than that. And if he's on a rookie deal, great. If not, at least you have a top 10 quarterback. The Niners are trying to win this other way, and I don't know that you can. And if you had Lamar Jackson, you have to sacrifice some depth in a couple players. But like, okay, well, at least you have like an impact player at quarterback for the first time in a long time. I don't know. But anyway, we don't have to talk. It's not going to happen. So let's talk about other ways the Niners could go all in this year and more modest ways where they would preserve their future.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so this came up to me because I heard an interview with Tony Dungy a couple days ago, and he was talking about why he left Tampa or why they got rid of him, essentially. And the Glazers, the owners of Tampa, and he had a different philosophy. His philosophy was, I want to build a long-term winner, a team that's always going to be there, much like the 49ers are in a situation right now. And they wanted to win a Super Bowl right away. They didn't care about the future. They wanted a Super Bowl right now. And they said, well, Gruden could be that guy that'll get us over the hump. And then they named another coach, which I forget who it was. And they ended up going after Gruden. And it did. It resulted in a Super Bowl, but they weren't good for very long after that. And I feel like the 49ers are kind of in that same situation where they're trying to be good for a long time, but they're also trying to get over the hump. So how do they do that? I think the only way that you can go like all in and not mortgage the future is to sign a bunch of veterans who are still good, maybe even overpay and do a bunch of 1-year deals so that you keep that cap flexibility for all these other years. And if you continue to do that, I mean, I was looking at Kansas City this year since 2019 is the least amount of free agents they have. They normally sit around the 25 to 30 range on a regular basis. You look at the Eagles, I mean, their whole team seems to be free agents, but they're going to retool on the fly, no problem, because they have 2 first-round picks. They're going to free up money. They're going to bring in some other veterans, and they're going to rinse and repeat. And so guys that I was looking at that would be realistic to go get, guys like Patrick Peterson, Justin Houston, Robert Quinn, Jadeveon Clowney, Marcus Peters, those types of guys that you know can contribute for a year. You're not giving them a long-term commitment. You, like I said, you might have to pay them a little bit more to just do a 1-year deal, but you're keeping that flexibility long-term. And I think that is what the 49ers, to me, it seems that is most important to the 49ers, is to keep a core together and continue to compete. But you also have to find your time to go all in a way to do it that doesn't necessarily mortgage the future. Because if you don't win, like Tampa was able to, then it just looks silly because you didn't win a Super Bowl and you didn't sustain winning for a long-term period. So to me, it's a bunch of 1-year deals, older guys. That's the way to do it.
I like it. And to be specific, I think the Niners really need to focus on their offensive line and their quarterback position. They don't need to bring in Lamar Jackson per se, but they need to bring in a quarterback. And it's not a slight against Trey or Brock. It's a slight against Kyle. Dude, Kyle, you can't keep quarterbacks healthy. Even though you think it's not your fault. Like, you can't keep quarterbacks healthy. It's been an issue for more than a decade. So until you adjust, the Niners are just going to have to work around that and bring in guys. So you have 2, both coming off an injury. Sign another, draft another. That's 4. You can't have 5, but have 1 on the practice squad. So I would suggest signing Jameis Winston if he gets cut, or Marcus Mariota if he gets cut, or Trubisky. I mean, there's going to be guys that the Niners could sign for 1 year and way cheaper than Jimmy Garoppolo that are probably better than Jimmy Garoppolo. And then you have these 2 guys and draft someone in round 7. Boom. Now, because what the Niners said is like, we ran out of bodies at quarterback. If we had just had another guy, okay, well, go ahead. Get your guys this year.
Yeah.
Don't use that as an excuse anymore. Yeah.
You've been talking about quarterback a lot, and one guy I haven't heard you mention that I would love to try to get is Taylor Heineke.
Sure.
Heineke.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he could do everything Purdy did in this offense. You surround him with that talent and coach like Kyle Shanahan, I just feel like he could do everything that we saw Purdy do. And
I agree.
I mean, shoot, people might think he's the next franchise quarterback, but I feel like he can do it.
I agree. I was just trying to shoot a little higher. Like, I'm not even sure Purdy's good enough. And I was thinking like maybe someone like Jameis Winston, who's had his issues, but if you put him on this team with this coach, maybe he actually fulfills his promise, his potential. I mean, quarterbacks seem to do really well on this team until they get hurt, I guess is the crude way to put it. So that'd be one guy. Mariota's another. I mean, come on. Like, could Jameis Winston throw 40 touchdown passes in a season with the Niners if he stayed healthy? Maybe. He hasn't played on a team like this before.
I feel like he could.
And I feel like that's what you need. Like, I don't care if a quarterback throws 15, 20 picks in a season. Did he throw 40 touchdown passes? Cool. That's my quarterback. We could win a Super Bowl. That's what Stafford did. He led the league in picks and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Because it's true. It is true. But I don't know. Kind of to your point is you need a guy to be a top 10 guy. I just don't know if that guy exists realistically for the 49ers. I mean, Carr could be borderline. Maybe in this offense he could be, but then you're going to pay out the wazoo. I mean, maybe you could make magic happen with a guy like Winston or whoever for a year, and they could play like a top 10 guy. I feel like Purdy was playing like a top 10 guy. I don't think he is a top 10 guy, but I think there are guys that you could go get, to your point, that in this offense with these weapons, with Kyle Shanahan, could play like a top 10 guy for a year, and more importantly, for a playoff run.
See, the reason I'm so focused on the quarterback position is it's such a question mark this year. It seems arguably weaker than last year, and I feel like the Niners are flirting with the 2020 season, where Brock's just not ready, and they get Trey hurt again, running him 17 million times, and then all of a sudden, like, Nate Sudfeld is starting 10 games. It's like, what happened? So you can't let that happen. They got to have so many contingency plans, and I feel like it's not that hard. the Niners have shown that they can really do very well on offense with guys who the rest of the league overlook.
I agree. The thing that comes up though is who out of those guys that we mentioned are willing to be the third guy? Because I doubt any of those guys are going to jump over Trey or Purdy in the depth chart. If Purdy's healthy, now all of a sudden you're the third guy. Are any of those guys willing to do that? I don't know.
Well, it's a smart move if they are, because from what the Niners could pitch, the pitch could be, look, we can't promise you anything. Trey's a starter. Brock's not going to be there in training camp, so you don't have to worry about his reps, but he's going to come back and he's going to be a factor. But, you know, you're probably going to get your chance eventually. We've had some injuries at the quarterback position. Neither of these two young kids have shown that they can stay on the field long term. You see the weapons we have here. You see the defense we have here. If and when you get your shot, it might just jumpstart your career. So what do you say? 1 year, $3 million with half of it guaranteed or whatever, like the Nate Sudfeld contract. What do you say?
Yeah.
Trubisky might be into that. I mean, he signed something similar to that 2 years ago in Buffalo, to sit behind Josh Allen, who doesn't miss time
Ever.
So
yeah.
maybe, and I think Trubisky isn't even the best you could do. I'd rather have Mariota. I'd rather have Winston. So I think they could do it. And again, if not them, Heineke. There are options out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there are options. And you could either be a backup somewhere else, or we could pay you a little bit more to be our third string quarterback because we actually can spend more money on quarterbacks, being that we're only spending $10 million now. We'll give you an extra $1 million. You're our third string. You know as well as I do, a third string here is like a second string anywhere else. So you got a chance to play. I mean, it might work. It just might work.
Also, you can't tell me the Niners are going all in if their starting offensive line next year is Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Nick Stikell, Spencer Burford, and Jalen Moore. That's not all in. You got to add another impact player to that line somewhere. Center, right guard, right tackle. I don't care. Got to be someone splurge. They don't spend enough money on this offensive. Like, they're spending $34 million in the offensive line this year, and $28 million goes to Trent. Come on, get someone else. The right tackle is a keep. They got to get someone decent there. They could trade up in the draft. They could sign someone. But if you sign someone in the draft, I mean, you can't. They can't even afford McGlinchey, and he's not even good. So I don't know. They got to get creative there. The answer is not Jalen Moore, though.
No. The answer is no. The answer is not Jalen Moore. But I don't know. I don't know if the answer's out there. Looking through free agency, this is not a good year to need a right tackle and/or center. This is not the year.
What's his name? Jawan Taylor. What's his name?
But he's not better than McGlinchey. They're roughly the same. Yeah. The thing, what you're saying is, and I agree with you, is their offensive line from this year has to improve next year. I don't foresee any free agents that are going to make this offensive line better for sure than what it was last year. I just don't see those guys out there. I mean, if you splurge maybe on a center and then you go cheap at right tackle, Burford steps up. I mean, maybe, but there's no guarantee. I don't think that there's a combination out there in free agency to make that happen. And I think that's the hard part. When you look at this, I don't know what that combination is.
Yikes.